Hello, 10 ways to eat your greens. I know that we are told time and time again how important greens are in our diet. I see them being purchased at the grocery store often, but I hear a lot as well, and many times often in counseling, that it's really hard to get as many greens as being suggested for our diets today. So I'm going to give you 10 ways that you can do that. Number one, of course, kind of straightforward and pretty simple, is use greens in juicing. Now, I'm not a big fan of juicing because I'm not so sure that just packing a juicer or a blender or a Vitamix or whatever we have instrument and packing those greens and other fruits and vegetables in there and pulverizing it, drinking it down and hoping that that's what we need for the day, or at least for part of the day, is the best choice for a couple of reasons. Number one, there's no fiber left or very little fiber left once that has been pulverized in a blender. And number two, it's really not very satiating. You're just drinking it down. And if you're drinking a lot of citrus fruits, then as well, then you're getting some simple sugars that will stay with you throughout the day. Not necessarily a good thing if they're spiking your blood sugar. But putting greens in juices is a good way to get some greens in your juicing. So if that is something that you do regularly, make sure that you're also putting some greens in with everything else that you're putting in. Another good way to get greens is just to saute them in a very small amount of high quality olive oil with a little bit of fresh cracked pepper, and just to saute them so that tenderizes them. Another thing that tenderizes greens when you're sauteing is some lemon. So it's amazing what can be done with a fresh lemon. Cut it open, squeeze it on the greens, and it tenderizes and gives them a very, very fresh taste. You can put greens in in small bite sizes. Cut them up in bite sizes and just add them to different dishes that you're making. Also, add them, of course, to your salads. You could start out with, especially in the spring and the summer, some fresh arugula, some chopped up bok choy. Just adds variety to salad instead of using iceberg lettuce or always Swiss chard. Another way to get greens, and this really freshens the greens and really makes them a lot sweeter and softer, is to put greens in soup. So take some greens, put them in the bottom of your bowl. If you don't put them in the soup when you're making soup, then put them in the bottom of individual bowls of soup. And once that hot soup penetrates the greens, it's going to, it may release some of the nutrients, but it's also going to be there in the soup broth, and it's going to give the greens a really nice taste. So also just saute them by blanching them first. And I think a lot of people don't eat greens because they get this tough piece of a green vegetable on their plate, and they put it in their mouth and try to chew it, and it's just not very palatable. If you just blanch the greens in some hot water, close to boiling or boiling, for 10 to 15 seconds, you'd be surprised at how the color changes and how the greens become much more softer and easier to eat. Another thing you can do is just add some greens to foods that you already love. Add some parsley. But surprisingly, parsley is very high in calcium, and so you can buy fresh parsley, which we call it an herb. When it's dried, it's actually called a spice, but you can add that, cilantro, anything else that you enjoy as far as a green. Cut it up and put it in things that you already have and spice up your dishes. You can use it as a wrap. You can use greens as a wrap. That's another way. Even collard greens will make a beautiful base as a wrap. If you put other vegetables, roll it up, cut it on an angle, it makes a beautiful looking hors d'oeuvre. So you could use it instead of bread or a pita as a wrap. Now there's also a way to put greens in desserts, believe it or not. You can saute and and use it as a smoothie, puree. This is the word I was looking for. You can puree greens and put them in vegetables. Put them in desserts. Give spinach a try. Just puree the spinach and put it in with some of the batter and even in brownies, and you will be getting greens that way. I hope that this is helpful. I hope it's giving you some ideas and maybe inspiring you a bit to eat more greens and find ways to use them in your daily diet. If you like the ideas, please give the video a like, and please subscribe so I can continue to pass on good tips that I have learned over the years, things I wish I would have known when I started on a plant-based diet. Thank you for joining.